Attention passionate Montreal, Canadiens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the Atlantic Division and it could shake up the entire conference. We're talking about a direct impact on Montreal Canadiens' path to another Stanley Cup run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Montreal Canadiens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Montreal, Canadiens fans. Let's get to the news. Alright, folks, today we're diving deep into some of the latest developments surrounding the Montreal Canadiens, a team that, as many of you know, is at a crucial crossroads. The offseason is in full swing, and while the team made some interesting moves and had some notable moments in the past season, there's a lot of speculation now about what's coming next. And trust me, what's happening right now could very well reshape the team's future, especially on the defensive side of things, which is an area that the Canadiens are clearly looking to bolster after the recent retirement of a key player. Let's start by talking about David Savard, who, for many of us, became a familiar name over the last few seasons. Savard, a solid, physical defenseman known for his shutdown capabilities, announced his retirement just before the playoffs began. It was a move that caught many fans by surprise, but for those who followed his career closely, it made perfect sense. At 34, after completing a 4-year, $14 million deal with Montreal, Savard realized that his body simply couldn't keep up with the rigors of the NHL anymore. He's been a warrior on the blue line, playing with grit, determination, and a clear understanding of his role. But as he himself admitted, around Christmas time of last season, he started to feel that his body was failing him, that his physical ability was diminishing. And in the end, he decided to step away, choosing to enjoy his retirement rather than push through another grueling season. Now, this retirement leaves a noticeable gap on the Canadiens' blue line, particularly on the right side. For a team like Montreal, which relies heavily on its defensive core to compete in the tough Atlantic Division, this is a significant loss. Savard played a key role in their defensive structure, especially in shutdown situations and penalty kills. So naturally, the Canadiens are now faced with the challenge of replacing him, and this is where the offseason gets really interesting. One name that's been floating around as a potential target for Montreal is Dante Fabro, a young, talented defenseman currently playing for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And folks, this isn't just idle speculation. It's backed by some credible analysts, including Arpon Basu from The Athletic, who's been following NHL moves closely. Basu has urged the Canadiens to consider signing Fabro, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Fabro, at just 26 years old, has shown flashes of brilliance and has the potential to be a key piece for the Canadiens moving forward. Let's talk about Fabro's profile for a moment. Drafted 17th overall in 2017, he's a right-shot defenseman, which is exactly what Montreal needs right now. The team's defensive depth on the right side was already somewhat thin, and with Savard's departure, that hole becomes even more apparent. Fabro is coming off a 1-year, $2.5 million deal with Columbus, but given his recent performances and potential, he's poised for a big payday, probably a multi-year deal that could significantly increase his salary. Now, to understand why Montreal might be interested, we need to look at Fabro's recent performances. Last season, he really put it all together, finishing with 9 goals and 17 assists for a total of 26 points in 68 games. That's a solid offensive contribution from a defenseman whose game has typically been more about defensive reliability and physicality. Fabro's style fits well with Montreal's need for a versatile blue liner who can contribute offensively without sacrificing defensive stability. And let's not forget, he's a right shot, which is a premium on the free agent market. Of course, this isn't just about filling a roster spot. It's also about the long-term vision for the Canadiens' blue line. Fabro, at 26, is entering his prime years, and if Montreal manages to sign him, it could be a cornerstone for their defense for the next several seasons. That said, there are some challenges. Fabro's current contract is relatively modest, but he's expected to get a substantial raise, probably in the range of several $1 million per season. The Canadiens will have to be strategic with their cap space, which, as of now, is around $6.1 million. That's enough to make a competitive offer, but they'll need to be smart, especially considering other off-season priorities, like adding a reliable veteran or perhaps addressing other needs on the roster. And speaking of cap space and roster management, the Canadiens are in a bit of a delicate situation. They've got some promising young defensemen like Jordan Harris, Kaiden Guhle, and Justin Barron, who are expected to develop into top-tier NHL players. But sometimes, young players need time to fully mature, and having a steady veteran presence can be invaluable during this transition. That's why signing someone like Fabro makes so much sense. He can serve as a bridge, providing experienced, stable minutes while the younger players gain more confidence and ice time. Now, let's talk about the overall context of the Canadiens' season. Last year, Montreal showed a lot of promise, especially with some breakout performances from their young forwards and a solid showing in the standings until injuries and inconsistency crept in. The team's core, players like Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki, and Juraj Slavkovsky, are all at different stages of their development, but the future looks bright with them at the forefront. Still, to truly contend and make a deep playoff run, they need to tighten up their defense, especially on the right side, and add that veteran stability that can help guide the younger players through the ups and downs of an NHL season. There's also a lot of talk about how the Atlantic Division is shaping up for the upcoming season. Teams like the Boston Bruins, Tampa Bay Lightning, Florida Panthers, and Toronto Maple Leafs are all making moves, and the competition is fierce. Montreal needs to be smart with their off-season moves, and adding a player like Fabro could give them that extra edge. It's about balancing cap space, development, and immediate impact, and Montreal's management seems to be aware of all these factors. Going further into the team's recent history, it's worth noting that the Canadiens have always been a franchise built on resilience and strong defense. Even in their lean years, they never lost their identity as a team that can grind out results, especially with their goaltending. Jake Allen has been solid between the pipes, and young Sam Montembeault has shown flashes of brilliance. But the blue line is the backbone of any Stanley Cup contender, and right now, Montreal is looking to fortify that backbone with the right additions. The question now is who else might be on Montreal's radar in free agency. Besides Fabro, there are several other options: veterans who can bring leadership and stability, or perhaps some younger players with upside that can be developed. The Canadiens have a history of making shrewd moves in free agency, and with cap space slightly limited, they'll need to be strategic. They also have some prospects in the pipeline, like Lane Hutson, who could eventually make the leap to the NHL and provide additional depth on the blue line. In terms of team philosophy, Montreal has always valued hard-nosed, disciplined defense, and that's unlikely to change. They want players who can play physical, block shots, and be responsible in their own zone. Fabro fits that mold perfectly, and if they can pair him with some of their younger defensemen, it could create a formidable defensive unit that's both physical and mobile, capable of handling the demanding schedule of the NHL and competing against the best in the league. Now, let's not forget that the offseason is also about building chemistry and team identity. The Canadiens have a passionate fan base that expects nothing less than a team that plays hard, smart, and with heart. The management knows this all too well, and that's why they're carefully evaluating their options and trying to make smart moves that will pay dividends down the line. Looking ahead, there's a lot of excitement and anticipation. Fans are eager to see how the team will shape up, who they will sign, and what kind of season we can expect. If Montreal manages to land a player like Fabro, it could be a game changer, injecting some much-needed stability and offensive upside into their blue line. It's a move that could help them compete more effectively in the division and possibly even push for higher playoff seeding. And remember, folks, the Canadiens are not just about today, they're about building a future that can bring back the glory days. They have the talent, the management, and the passionate fan base to be contenders again. The offseason is where it all begins, and every signing, every trade, and every development counts. So stay tuned, because the Canadiens are actively shaping their destiny, and we'll be here to cover every twist and turn along the way. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Montreal Canadiens news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. As we look ahead, the question remains, will Montreal be able to execute their plan effectively? Will they secure someone like Fabro and other key pieces to make a real push towards the playoffs? The team has shown resilience before, and with the right moves, they can certainly be competitive again. But it all depends on how they navigate the offseason, how they manage their cap, and how effectively they develop their young talent. Montreal's history is rich with iconic moments, legendary players, and Stanley Cup victories. The team has a proud tradition, and the current roster is poised to write a new chapter in that storied history. In the end, what we're witnessing is a franchise that's actively rebuilding and retooling, trying to balance the needs of today with the potential of tomorrow. The signing of a player like Fabro could be a pivotal moment, a statement that Montreal is serious about contending again and that they're willing to invest in their future. Fans, I know you're excited, and honestly, so am I. The offseason buzz is just getting started, and there's so much more to come. From potential trades to future signings, every move will be scrutinized and debated. Because that's what true Canadiens fans do, they analyze, discuss, and dream about that next Stanley Cup parade. Before we wrap up, I want to remind everyone to keep your eyes peeled for further updates. The Canadiens are always active, always looking to improve, and they've got some tricks up their sleeve. Whether it's a big trade, an impactful signing, or a draft day surprise, this team is on the rise. And it's your passion, your voice, and your support that makes this community special. So stay with us, stay engaged, and let's continue to build this incredible Montreal Canadiens family together. And now, Montreal Canadiens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Canadiens. Do you believe signing someone like Fabro is the right move? Are there other players you think could fit perfectly in Montreal's plans? We love hearing your insights, so don't hold back. Remember, this is a team that thrives on its fans' energy and passion. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, analysis, and inside information on everything happening with the Canadiens. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell, and be part of this growing community. Together, we can keep the spirit alive and continue to support our beloved Canadiens in their quest for greatness once again. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, go Canadiens!